Ooh,
right, here we are. So this is our second CDA questions and answers. And we're with Kate Evans and Thomas Adams and me, Emma Ashton. So we're all CDA members, and we're all casting directors, aren't we? And this week we're doing kids. Loads of questions came in from parents, and not too many from the children themselves, obviously, but mostly from the parents. So lots to get through. So I'm going to just kick off with some of the first things, which is quite a lot of questions were about image, about the picture that kids should have. Let's say, in this case, let's say Spotlight, because there are a lot of kids on Spotlight. Of course, they have kids on agencies' own websites and things, but the type of image, the picture that we want to see. I mean, basically, let's start off. Kate, when you're looking at Spotlight, how do you pick out the person from the child when you're selecting? You've got an idea in your head what you're looking for. What attracts you to that particular image?
Well, obviously, it's the director's brief that I've got in my head. So that's the first thing that I'm thinking. And knowing the directors I work with, knowing their style and what sort of kids and looks they go for. Mm-hmm. I think the important thing is having a clear headshot which represents that child. Posed shots don't do it for me. Nice natural shots, straight face, a good smile, but not too contrived, because a natural look does it.
Yeah, because one person asked, they've got their daughter, she's got brown hair, she's white, Caucasian, brown eyes. She says she's 10 years old. She's not particularly going to stand out amongst anybody else. There's lots of other kids that look very similar to her daughter, but she sees her daughter's colleague, friends, whatever, or people that she knows being chosen for castings, but she's not getting chosen for castings. I mean, is that because of the show reel, do you think, rather than the image?
I'm possibly talent,
Yeah.
It's very difficult to answer that question without seeing the child, or there's no reason for it, I would say. But again, you shouldn't be pitting your children against other children. They're all individual, and they're all unique, and they've all got great qualities.
Do you think?
Does the mum think it is the headshot? Does she think that has a part to play in it, or? Well,
she's just wondering why it makes such difference, because whether or not, if you imagine it, sometimes when we look on Spotlight, a lot of it is just headshots. There's not much about the child, because they haven't had a chance yet. They haven't really done anything, have they?
They haven't got the experience.
They might have done a bit, and that's fine. They may not have done much, but they've just got that confidence and they want to do it. So there won't be a CV as long as you're on. There will only be headshots. Do you think it would be useful for them to have like a homemade little film of them doing something, or showing a bit of personality? Would that sway you, Thomas? If you could see a little bit of moving image of that person, would you?
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I think I agree with Kate in as far as I like natural shots, and it probably applies to all actors, but kids, about personality, because you're right, they won't necessarily have the experience. So if you can get a kid's personality through in a headshot, that helps ever so much, because you want to be able to see, their confidence come through. So I think good natural headshots of, like, I like kids with nice, of course, you want a selection, but kids with nice smiley pictures, where you can see their personality come through. So a little intro video of them saying, "Hi, my name's Tom and I like dogs and cats," whatever, that wouldn't be bad as well, especially if they haven't got the show reel or the footage to make a show reel or the CV.
Yeah. Would you find that useful, Kate? Would you find that off-putting?
I think it's a great idea. I'd love to see a clip of the kids. 30 seconds, they can tell us a joke. It's a good time.
They can jump, do something or anything. That'd be quite good. I find that quite useful.
A lot of casting, they never have one. They have to go and ask their mum and dad. So, just a clip. It's about personality. It really is.
So a little video might actually be quite useful then, just something to post they put on Spotlight, as well as some other images, perhaps as well. Obviously,
but if it's a job where we need, I don't know, a little girl who can do 3 cartwheels in a row, then the agents need to be flagging this up on their Spotlight suggestions. I say this all the time. If you've got someone who's an amazing ice skater at 7 years old, don't just send their picture through, flag it up to us. Because they don't necessarily have that on their CV, and we spend time looking through CVs where the reality is, I just want a 7-year-old who can do backflips on the ice. Put it in their notes, great, I'm going to get her in straight away. Well,
Yeah.
not in.
I think it's amazing what agents use the comment box for sometimes, like just to remind you of their telephone number or email address, which you've already got, when actually they could be saying this kid has the ability to do ice skating or backflips or the accent or whatever. It's like, I don't, I don't want to write loads of stuff on my casting briefs that are in capital letters, but sometimes you're like, just give me the information, because that's what it's there. That's what the comments box is there for.
Yeah. So, and what about some photos of them doing things like if they can do a cartwheel? If it didn't have to be a video, but is that something that is good? I mean, pulling different faces, or do we just want them to sort of be a little bit more simple in the pictures and maybe more animated in a video? Perhaps, I don't know. Which would you prefer to see? Do you think? Tom?
Less is more in my mind.
Okay.
I ask children to come in for castings in their school uniform, to avoid glitzy hairbands, gelled hair. 9 times out of 10, kids just need to be themselves. They need to be natural, and they need to engage with the casting director. I think that's really important.
Yes, and if we put a casting breakdown out that says something like, we want cool kids that stand out. They've got they've got like big hair or red hair or something that's a little bit striking, because we're mixing them up with other kids. And so it'd be great to have some that they all look different. It would be good that, when they send their photo in, so maybe they usually have very big hair, not to send in a photo where it's just been plaited and made straight and nice. That's a bit of an agency thing, isn't it? Where the agent has to read the brief and send a photo in that fits what we want for the brief, really.
Yeah.
Parents should be probably give them a little selection of pictures so that the agent can use the right one at the right time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If a parent gives the agent the right, armory, here's my little girl with her hair tied back, with her hair out, here's a smiling, here's a straight face, then the agent is then in the position to make the right decisions and put the right pictures forward for the appropriate job.
I think that would be handy. Little catalogue of photos. Another question is about performance. So things like the difference perhaps between going in for a casting for TV is slightly different from casting for commercials. I mean, a lot of the stuff we do is commercial based. Some of it's telly, film, but it's quite a different style of casting for kids, isn't it? So one of the people have said here, what is it that children need to show in castings to get chosen for the job? Well, let's just listen, especially when it comes to casting for adverts or television. My daughter gets lots of castings, but never seems to succeed in the commercials castings. What's the difference?
Well, if she's getting lots of castings, that's a great thing already. Obviously, her agent's working hard for her and she's got good pictures. I guess commercial casting is a particular type of skill in itself, isn't it? To make that impression in that very quick time that you've got, that 5 minutes or 10 minutes, to listen, maybe not so much prep, maybe so much lead up time or script or sides to look at. And maybe it's, it's tomorrow, it's straight after school. Kids that can sort of come in like any actor, but can come in, get themselves in the zone, listen, take direction, and respond well to direction, do really, really well. I suppose not every kid has got that, and maybe it just comes with experience as well. But kids that maybe don't have as much prep time, maybe they do better in commercials than this one you're talking about.
And I think as well, what people don't realise, the side of the story that we see a lot of the time, we're casting for a group of children. The director may love this little girl, she may be absolutely brilliant, but she happens to have blonde hair, and they've already got a blonde boy and they need a dark-haired girl. So sometimes, it's overthinking it, but we see the other side of it when we're trying to match people together and get a group of people together that's balanced. So, sometimes it is as simple as, we needed a dark-haired girl, the blonde girl's not going to fit with this group of people. Yeah. So, there's all sorts of factors involved with it. I agree with Thomas. If someone's getting all those castings, and that's brilliant. Yeah. Surely it's a matter of time that, before they do get that. I suppose,
in commercials, sort of the whole thing is a lot of it's about miming something out rather than having dialogue to say. It's quite, we don't often give kids that much dialogue to say in a commercial. So it is a slightly different, it is a different style of acting, isn't it? And that the key thing is, like Thomas said, is to listen to what the casting director says, because the actions won't be given to you until you're actually in the room. And that could be a little bit, that's quite nerve-wracking for a kid, really, because they're kind of, you know, they're not with their parent a lot of the time. That's another question I was going to ask. And so, you know, they've just got to sort of listen out about, well, what to do, and they won't know until they get in the room.
Yeah, I think with film and TV, there is more time to prepare. We have longer to prepare a casting. Yeah. We tend to send out as much information as possible to the parents, so they get an idea of the backstory to the character, a sense of what era we're in, what the film's about, or the episode's about. So I think with TV, you have more time to prepare, and also they have lines that they can practice with their parents, you know, and the audition's longer. You know, it's not, you're not in and out in 5 minutes. You know, we space them out every 15 minutes, and we've got more time. But again, with film and TV, we don't see lots and lots of children. You know, we really narrow it down.
There is a little skill, isn't there, to the commercial side of it, and there's skill also to the TV. So that brings me on the question. Some parents have asked, why do casting directors not always encourage a parent maybe to come into the room when they're doing the casting with the child? Kate, first.
My pet hate is parents being in the casting room. Right. I have a DBS check, and I use studios that have been DBS checked. I have a child protection policy in place as well. So from safeguarding children, all casting directors I know are on this. So from that point of view, there is no reason why the child shouldn't come in by itself. When parents come into the casting studio, the child tends to look at the parent and not engage with me. The parent also likes to, as much as they don't want to be involved, they are stood behind that camera telling that little child to smile. I actually want them to look sad today, you know. The other reason is, on set, children aren't next to their parents. Their parents will be close by, but they may not be able to see their parent while on set, but their parent is there. I need to know the child's got confidence to be in a room in front of a camera and lighting and take direction and engage with me, if it is me in that casting studio. My feeling is parents always tend to interfere, for want of a better word.
We obviously draw the line here at babies, because we do allow parents to come in.
Oh, baby. Yeah, definitely babies.
Baby with us.
Crawl in on your own. Come on.
Well, yeah. So babies and toddlers, parents do tend to come in a bit with the toddler.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Past that, yes, they, yeah.
And also, if a child's upset, the parent's outside the door. The parent's always outside the door.
Yeah, definitely.
And I never want to see a child upset in the audition room. I'd rather open that door and let, you know, parent cuddle the child. And, you know, it's about the child feeling safe and happy and confident in the environment they're in, I think.
Definitely.
Tom, have you got something to add to that? That's just my
fully agree with all of that, Kate. Yeah, for better or for worse, parents influence kids in the casting suite. Of course they do. They're there, stood there. The kid might want to perform for the parent rather than the casting director or director. And of course, they might be on set without their parent there, with a chaperone or whatever. So a kid needs to be able to perform without the influence of the parent. And that's, you know, you've got to see that in the suite, haven't you? And of course, like you said, they're the other side of the door. So if the kid doesn't enjoy it, is not having a good time, the parent can come straight in.
Yeah.